Professor Bhaskar Mukherjee from Department of Library Information Science, Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi, and all the dear participants, a very good morning to you all. I, Professor Preeti Mahajan, on behalf of the Department of Library Information Science, Punjab University, Chandigarh, and on my own behalf, welcome you all in the 6th webinar in the new series of the webinars entitled PU DLIS webinar series. The current series are being organized to reach out to LIS students, research scholars, and the professional colleagues to enhance their professional knowledge and update them in the field. However, the topic for today's webinar is equally important for everyone who is engaged in academic writing in any field of knowledge. Now, I take this opportunity to introduce the speaker of the webinar today. We have amongst us Professor Bhaskar Mukherjee from Department of Library Information Science, Banaras Hindu University. Prior to joining the Banaras Hindu University, he has also served in teaching positions at Department of Library Sciences at Guru Ghasidas Vishwavidyalaya, Bilaspur, and Rani Durgavati University, Jabalpur. His areas of specializations include webometrics, information technology, its application in libraries, digital libraries, information storage and retrieval, knowledge organization, etc. He has undertaken many innovative teaching research projects, including designing and developing the website of Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya Institute, the joint project of BHU and under Ministry of Culture, preparing course content on information retrieval for SARC Documentation Center at New Delhi, preparing course content of MLIS at IGNOU, translation of Universal Decimal Classification in Bengali language, which is the first in Indic languages, etc. He has also worked as a core member of Intercultural Studies at PHU, has provided lectures on IGNOU Gyanvani, that is the Education Broadcasting FM channel, on various topics related to information technology, its application, library information science. He has also presented lectures to participants of orientation courses and refresher courses being conducted by academic staff, college of various universities, etc. Apart from authoring many research papers in national as well as international journals, he has published many books, including Knowledge Management in Libraries, Concepts, Tools, and Approaches, Scholarly Communication in LIS, Impact of Open Access Journals and e-journals on the Changing Scenario, Information, Communication, and Society, Number Building through DDC 22nd edition, and Open Source Software for Libraries, a hand-on tool. He was nominated for International Biographical Source Who's Who in the World by Marcus, and he has received Raja Ram Mohan Roy Library Award in 2004. He is also serving as reviewer in many national as well as international journals. Today, Professor Mukherjee would be speaking on academic writing for quality research. Without taking much time, I now hand over the proceedings to Professor Mukherjee, please. Professor Mukherjee.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I feel rather honored and privileged to be in this online discussion forum with all of you today, and want to thank Honorable Vice Chancellor along with Professor Preeti Mahajan Madam, Chairperson, Department of Library Information Science, and all esteemed members who directly, indirectly involved in this online discussion forum and giving me a chance to share my experiences on academic writing. Because of this our new friend, that is the COVID-19, the best hope for extending education becomes the digital technology. We all are now quite conversant with this digital technologies and all. So I will not take any opportunity, or I will not show my any dates regarding to explain you the various digital technologies that is prevail in current scenario. And being a teacher, being a librarian, how you exploit these technologies for better service, delivering knowledge and all. In fact, in the last few years, I have been little bit engaged in academic writing process. So in this presentation, I will try to show you something which I gained in the last few years during my research. So all the esteemed members who is on the screen in this online forum, please don't my presentation as a form of anything seminal, or you can say philanthropist like all this. It's simply the sharing of experiences that I gained during my research in the last few years. Mahajan have told so many things about me. I am not rightly capable to consider myself as everything she told. But one thing certainly I believe myself, that I am a teacher and I prefer to do research. So along with a teacher, I am a researcher. So like all of you who are in this forum, who have already joined, I am just like all of you, and I will therefore share all my experiences as a form of that the topic that I am today choosing is this one, is academic writing for qualitative research, steps and strategies. Hope now it is visible to all of you. Ma'am, is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Is,
Yes.
okay.
You can do full screen also. Yeah.
So it is visible to all of you, na?
Yes, yes.
Sir, can you please remove your the picture that is coming up on the side? It comes up gray to us, so you can minimize that. The video that you have switched on.
What thing you want to say switched off?
Sir, on the side, can you see, or you would be able to see ma'am's picture? So once you remove it, you just need to minimize it so that we are not able to get the grayed up area. That will come up as a gray area to us.
No, actually, there is no such option. From where I have to do it?
So if you go on towards the top, there'll be an option of minimize on the left hand corner. Yes, sir. You can just put it to the top, towards the top, so that it doesn't.
Okay,
It's fine
now,
now. It's fine now.
Thank you, sir.
is it now okay?
Yes,
sir.
yes, it's fine now.
Okay. So let's start our business. Today, I am going to share some of my experience on academic writing and quality research, steps and strategies. Basically, I will talk on few of the points. The first point, under the first point, that is in academic writing, I will try to show you some of the tools which are very, very essential for making a piece of work more qualitative. And as a researcher, what I learned, that the steps of starting a piece of writing or piece of articles. In the first part, in form of academic writing, I will try to share these areas. And for quality research, some of the tools or some of the ways and means that in a scholarly communication process, we are treating it as a benchmark for measuring the quality. We will discuss on these points. Certainly, one of the very important issue I will touch at the last. Here it is not mentioned over here, and that is the predatory practice, or you can say ethical practice, that a researcher should be followed for making a research really qualitative from his own end. As we already know, quality is a word which is very difficult to explain. If I say something very qualitative, probably it not seems to be as quality as to you too. So it's a great challenge for everybody to understand what the quality is, because quality is some characteristics or attributes of some phenomena which can only be understood by the heart and mind. And when the question of heart and minds comes into the figure, then you cannot compare the things with some value or numbers. So quality is very contrast with the term of quantity, where you can everything measure in terms of quantity. But to become your quantity, your product as a quantitative product, or it is a meaningful product, we have to adhere certain quality. The very first point, to my understanding, for starting a piece of research is to search your topic to some excellent databases. I know everybody, you are all accustomed with all these tools because they are very famous and quite familiar too. So I will not detail discussed about all this. Along with that, I must share with you, there is a new database which is coming into the domain, is called BASE, Bayfield Academic Search Engine. You know, from library science point of view, when you talk about the extracting information in form of metadata, then this tools is excellent platform to search your academic content. Everything which is related with your academic content, or you can say as a form of peer review, you can search it in different ways. So whenever you will search a topic or a matter or a title in this database, the result you gain is something different that you get in Google Scholar or Google. Google I never recommend. Google is an information-based search engine, but Google Scholar is an excellent tools as a open platform. You can say anybody can access and get result out of Google Scholar. But this is another very open access, open free tool, which is currently being used huge. And I always recommend to search your first topic into here. In the present current COVID scenario, there are two tools emerge as one of the leader for free information sources. And one is called this lens and another one is called this dimensions. These two tools basically is available at free of cost, and they are also provided you data in terms of metadata format. You know, every international database now providing huge piece of literature on the COVID-19. But if you see these two databases, that is dimensions, one of them, if you have time to see, every day they are updating total number of addition into this topic, that is COVID-19. So it seems to be one of the world now biggest database which contains very excellent piece of information in every areas. So you can also search this platform, or you can use this platform whenever you start your searching or getting a particular piece of work on your particular domain. Now, what should be a researcher should start his writing? How he or she should start his writing? In generally, we say that we have already searched a number of documents to some international database like Web of Science, Scopus, and gathered huge number of literature. Now the question comes, for a first-hand researcher, it is very, very difficult to read out all the documents. I never suggest you to gain knowledge about a piece of work. Don't read the whole document in the first time. Before start reading, or before in fact start searching, there are some prerequisite things that a researcher must follow. And the first one is you have to chalk an idea at your brain. From library science point of view, if I talk, it is nothing but the idea plane. Before verbal plane, we have to think it in our own brain. So chalk a idea. Because I will end my lecture with some words, as I already told you, some predatory. Actually, this predatory practice starts from very first point. If we commit some mistakes on the first level, then there is a chance of getting more similarity index through some anti-plagiarism software or plagiarism softwares. So for a first-hand researcher, I always suggest or always think it is better to not to copy the idea, because everybody have some genuine idea in its own brain. Rather than reading a simple work which is written by someone else, first of all, understand the idea at your own brain, or make it as original as possible. But as we all know, there is an idea called spiral scientific method, which suggests that the ending points of other research is the starting point of ourselves. So I always suggest this one also, that in a academic research, nobody can start itself its idea, then he will be an inventor. So research is nothing, not an invention, but it's simply a form of research. Therefore, I always suggest you should read so many documents to understand how they think, how they thought on a particular area. But the idea should be your own, that what you want to do. And then always starting your search to some good database. And whenever you start searching to some good database, then never search what our general practice. My general practice is that I always retype the as it is title that we want to do to search how far the work has been done by others. If the same literature, same work is already appear as a form of result, then certainly it's nothing but a duplicate work. Rather going for as it is topic, I always suggest you to choose some keywords, or you can say some significant or kernel term, and you start your searching with this kernel term. If you start your searching some kernel terms, then you will get some patch of literature related, not related to each other, but on your own brain you have to relate it in your own paper. That is very important. And for there, you just read the three very important things. And these three things are, you first read the abstract, not the full paper as a whole. If this abstract is inside in your brain, you are getting what is he or she is trying to explain, or what is author is trying to explain, then simply read the method, what he followed. In most of the cases, if you go some very high piece of international paper, then you feel the method they adopt probably is not suitable or not possible for you. So in spite of the fact it's a good piece of research, the method they adopt, which is not well adverse to you, it will not shoot to you. Leave that article. Not necessarily you have to follow that article. Because if you not think in this manner, then there is a huge chance that you will make a copy or verbatim of some earlier work. So you read the method for the sake of understanding that what the earlier author followed for that piece of work. If it suits you, go ahead and then read only the how he conclude the things. In my experience, I particularly observed what we particularly do is we used to download data, extract data, and simply explain the data that this percentage says this percentage says no, yes, no, like this way. This percentage of people says we are satisfied, this percentage of people says we are not satisfied. Actually, in research, revealing the data in terms of percentage is not a research at all. a research starts after that. That is what this particular percentage wants to say and what you try to explain about this percentage of data. It is not true that if something is less than 50%, it is not significant. Significance is a policy which is determined by some hypothesis testing. So it is not by percentage you can just simply make it measure and say that yes, 50% people, more than 50% people says we are agreed with the service, then it is good. It's not like that. Statistics is not works in these directions. Very important thing that out of this data, what this data wants to say, you have to understand and you have to be explained. Good piece of research is always based on what the data wants to say. If you can able to reveal it, or if you can compare your own data with some earlier findings, then it is excellent. And just for all, you have to read some earlier work, how they conclude, how they finish, how they move towards the end of his research. And then download that article if you feel it is useful to you. And I always suggest you to save some referencing software. Here I mentioned Zotero as it is free tool easily available in Chrome extension, or you can say it's in Firefox extension. So you can use it. I always suggest don't haphazardly download anything on your hard disk in form of any name of your article. Whenever you try to download your paper, make its proper. So in that 2 years later, when you want to search what that actually article is, by the name of the paper, by the name of the file, you can able to understand what that actually article belongs to, for which you need this article, and you group it, club it into a particular directory for your particular use. So I always suggest read abstract, objective and method, not necessarily go for whole paper itself. And if seems that it is useful to you, then only go for detail, otherwise never. Collect data, analyze and understand how it can be represented best way. Again, I am telling you one thing, there is a common practice we particularly observed in our general way, that everybody, whatsoever he have drawn some hypothesis, and he explained the hypothesis in terms of percentage. Dear friends, in statistics, hypothesis should be tested. It cannot be revealed by some value or by some percentage. There are certain pre-measured testing policies or available in statistics. It may be chi-square test or ANOVA or whatsoever it may be. You have to apply it. And if you have doubt that I am not well conversant with putting hypothesis form of testing, I always suggest to put research questions. What are the questions that is relevant on this topic you feel is useful to explain, and how you answer all these questions you have to be mentioned. These are the few things that I always think is very, very essential for a preliminary author to understand while he starts writing. There are few online tools is available. You all are very, very well accustomed. I will not go very detailed. These are available with your link. You can simply type it on your Google, then you will get it. And this is one of the very excellent tool which explain how to start your research. What should be the steps you follow for making a research meaningful? Not necessarily. Sometimes I also share one very important thing that I gained in my experience of life is that we think that if something is coming from foreign, it's very excellent or it's very good or it's very excellent piece of research. Not like that. We all have huge potentialities. And I particularly say one thing, that when I meet some of the experienced people in my last meeting in Europe, and I some of the excellent publishers, some of the excellent editors, and they told me particularly that Chinese when starts a job, they endlessly they try to make it in a shaped form. But Indians have a legacy that They started with a very good temperament, but continuously they not support what we are asking from them. They particularly mention this word. So we have to think in this way that they also agreed that Indians' works are much more qualitative than the others countries. I particularly hear this word in my own ears. So I always believe we think very better than anybody else. But the problems, we are a little bit shy about what we have already done. We are unable to explain it properly. Why? Because we have little bit less experience to expose ourselves. So I always suggest you better to go use some international tools. These are one of the tools which says writing lab. This writing lab helps you to understand how to start your first piece of work. And very important point, I should share to some young researcher. I know there are very mature researchers is also available in this forum. But certainly for new researcher, if you want to try to communicate your work with your editor, say for example, editor in Scientometrics or some journal of scientometric research, you know, editor will never read your article in the first look. They will read your letter that you said as a form of letter to editor. So you have to understand how to write letter to the editor to communicate with him what you are trying to say about your work. So in the first paragraph, you have to write what you are trying to say in your article. In the second paragraph, you have to write to the editor how it is different than others' work. And the third paragraph, you have to say, or you have to write that what is the implication of your work. If you write it very small 3 paragraph to the editor while submitting your article to some international excellent piece of journals, they will keep it in a positive mind. They will take it in a positive mind that what you are trying to say. They will not read your article full. By understanding your letter of writing, the letter of the communication, they will get it what you have done in your research and simply forward it for the review process. So this is one of the article that is being published in Nature. You go through if you have time. Here it says do's and don'ts. That is very much essential to follow for communicating with the editors. And I always suggest, being an author, we should be very much ethical. Ethical practice should be followed. If we think about that, we are very intelligent and nobody can able to judge our intellectuality. So it's very wrong. Some days back when I was in some others lecture, discussion with some international editors, they told me they have certain type of software. Whenever you submit your article in PDF or doc file, they particularly open that file, and on that file they are able to see that how much time you open your file, where you have changed it. And if you make it just like it that copy and paste it or do it some other way, the software automatically explain them these are the place from where the article, the matter have been taken or copied. Not necessarily they will go some plagiarism software. They have developed certain piece of software by which they check how many times you opened your file, how many times your file has been used by your own for changing the text. And not only that, in case of any graphics, if it is some JPG or any type of format, if the file is, and in this JPG format, when they upload it into that software, they particularly explain how many times this JPG's color or it has been changed by some CorelDRAW or any another softwares. Basically, they were talked about the medical journals. The authors of medical authors used to manipulate data, how they manipulate the data. They explain this phenomenon. So don't understand that people are not getting our intelligence. We are intelligent at the end of the day. Somebody else maybe is more intelligent. So don't go this measurement of this intelligence, who is best, who is better. not go for that way. I always suggest to go by follow some ethical procedure, which is very, very important and very essential. And just to understand what the ethics one should be followed, I always suggest this side should see and spend little bit time what ethical strategy should be followed, being an author, being an editor, and being anybody else in any academic job who is involved. What type of academic integrity or academic things he should be followed for making a research quality tip. It is very, very essential. You please go through if you have time. Now, as I already told you that I will explain that in academic process, how the quality of an article is being measured and how a journal is good or bad to be understand. And one of the very gold measure that used to we follow is called peer review. But dear friends, unfortunately, peer review is nothing but a qualitative process. And because there is no as such quantity or value associated with that figure, so certainly people means who are not ethically followed the process of quality, then they used in their journal or academic writing and says it's a peer reviewed journal. And in my previous few years' experience, as Preeti Mahajan Madam is already told, I have worked with Madan Mohan Malviya project. Yes, certainly it was a little bit old project. My very last project was my project related with measuring or developing and criteria for measuring quality of Indian journals. DST have given me or assigned me a particular project just to give me some grants to evaluate the quality of Indian journals, and I have developed certain mechanism to understand the quality of Indian journals. It has been accepted in the Indian Parliament, and DST have published it as a form of white paper. I will show you later on all these things. But one thing that I particularly observed when I worked on this project, that every Indian journals, whatsoever the quality it has, the first very word they used to mention into their website that it's a peer-reviewed journals. But dear friends, peer review is not such a small things that if somebody writes is on the top in a bold letter or in red or some blinking letter, your journal automatically will be a peer review. The story is not like that. Peer reviews process by which one can evaluate writing by means of some academic experts who are associated with your field. There are so many controversies in this peer review process, though who are in the domain who are very well conversant that there is some extent of biasness is also associated with that. We are not going that direction only, but peer review process in where author used to explain or deliver his findings before some peers, and peers check it how far it is okay, how far it is expressible, how far it is useful for the next generation of readers, and they consider it for the others. Certainly, this is an important process being followed either by open peer review system or double-blind peer review system or single-blind peer review system. In open peer review, double-blind review, I am not going all, but in double-blind review, the identity of editor, author, and the reviewer becoming obscure to each other. So that's why nobody can able to guess who is the author, who is the reviewer. Nobody can able to understand. So certainly it's an excellent process. But if a journal simply says that we are following double-blind peer review system and asking article by some email, so it never be possible. Because in all this process, if some journals follow, then the big thing he has to be followed, that he have to use some electronic submission system, ESS. In general, they have to follow some electronic submission system. Otherwise, writing something that double-blind, single-blind cannot be said that it is a double-blind or peer-reviewed journals at all. But what actually happened in today's contest because of predatory, you just see this photo, we just see this diagram, what I am showing over here. I will a little bit later on explain this phenomenon. In generally, some studies have appeared a few years back in Nature and which shows that out of the submission of 240 articles, if you see, only that 20 to 30% articles of an excellent piece of journal being accepted finally. Otherwise, out of 240 journals, here you can see here from 240 how these journals, how the total numbers becoming less and less in the final stage. And here is in this total figure, here is it is also explained that how much time a review process used to take. So if some journal says by 7 days it will be give you a review decisions, or by 15 days if the review process, if some journals has followed, it seems to be an unrealistic process, because you know a review process at least needs 60 to 90 days. As this diagram is also says, since last 1980s to 2015s, the process, the time requires for the process of review never be changed. It almost 70 to 90 days, and sometimes it is also more than 100 days. What the changes occurred, that is after accepting of an article and making it publishable in form of digital form. This time reduced a lot because of internet and technology at all. But if somebody says he human has been, because of technology and ICT, the nature of human have the capability with a new device called SIM, and this SIM is being installed into the human brain, by which they are review the submitted article by 10 days, 7 days or 15 days. For me, it seems to be a very unrealistic. It is never be possible. So certainly, dear friends, you have to be understand that altogether the publishing times has reduced a lot, and so many places you also find that publishing times has reduced a lot. But it's not the related with the review process. Basically, it related with the publishing process after accepting the article. Now let comes to the next point, as times is going on little bit fast. So my next topic, that is, whenever we write an article and submit it for peer review, then we start, whenever it accepts, then we start thinking that how much impact it has gathered. It's another form of business. I must say it's a form of business. The very person, you must all well, Eugene Garfield, was a very novel idea that if somebody writes something, how much this articles is being used in scholarly communication process, it is essential to judge. That's why he has developed journal impact factor, and he has also developed a mechanism to count this journal impact factor. But now the people, and so many people, we have already destroyed this theory, and we have developed our own impact factor mechanism by which we calculate the value of a journal. In generally, impact is being measured how many times an article receives citation in subsequent times. But the problem is that if we see about the journal impact factor that is developed by Web of Science, or it was designed by Eugene Garfield, based on 2 years window. That, say for example, you probably understand with all this diagram over here, if a journal, if your article is being published in the January issue of 2016, then how much citation it has received during 2016 and 2017 from various journal articles or related articles, it will be considered, it is used to consider for counting the impact. But if the same article is being cited in 2018, 19, 20 or later on, then in general practice for counting impact, not 5-year impact, in general the normal impact, what is called impact factor, this citation from beyond the 2 years is usually not considered in general practice for measuring impact of an article of a journal. But these whatsoever this good quality of journals, who are usually explain them as a good quality and writing very colorful way that they are peer reviewed journals, they consider all citations. And another very important thing is that ISI in their website have included some good journals into their database. If the citation comes from those good journals only, they considered it as a citation. But if something has come from website or book chapters, they never considered it as a form of impact, because they assumed it that in scholarly communication process, in every piece of writing, it has been found that journal is one of the most important vehicle of scholarly communication. So if the journal is qualitatively good, certainly it has used for qualitative article. That's why they have been cited. That's the article gets citation. This policy they have followed and adopted for counting the impact. But what others impact factor mechanism or others used to say or used to follow, they have considered impact from every piece of documents it has received. Either it may be from website, or it may be from book chapter, or it may be from any other resources, simply for your biographical pages, then it considered as an impact. It is not the actual process of counting the impact. So you must understand that impact, if it is measured by if it is come by only subsequent 2 years along with its publications year, then it will be considered for counting the impact, otherwise not. So it is very understand so how to understand the impact of your journal. Here some of the tools is also mentioned, because I know the journal impact factor, what I am talking so far, it's a very costly service, near about 12.3 lakh, 3-4 lakhs rupees. And for a single person, it is very difficult to bear. Altogether, there are few open source services. In ResearchGate, if you search the impact factor of journal list, JCR 2019, probably in 2018 to impact factor list you will available in PDF format, where all the list of journals is available in some PDF format. The organization who have access, they are getting it and make it publishable in open access forum. But in general practice, before submitting an article, to understand how the article is good, how the journal is good, whether it's a potential platform or not, to understand it, I always suggest to search this in this SIAGMO journal ranking website. It's a free tool. At your home, if you get access, in this access, you simply type the name of the journal. It will show you the H index as well as cite per document in the last 5 years, how many citations it has received. I also tried to show you, I don't know whether this hyperlink will able to will reach to you or not. I am just showing you. I have already clicked it. It may require a little bit time. Yes, just tell me whether screens are changing at your end, sir. Madam,
Yes,
is
yes,
it changing?
yes.
Yes. So certainly wait for 1 minute. I am just clicking
Sure.
a website, and this is SIAGMO journal ranking. If somebody have no, yes, it has already come. Current Science, and you know it's a very internationally reputed journal being published from India, from Indian Academy of Science. We are just searching this journal in this SJR, and here all the related titles of the journal which is related with current science and science both, they are appearing. Here you see current science is appearing, and after clicking this current science over here, then a new screens of exclusive current science appear over here. You just see the screens. I will also compare the screens with some predatory journals also, how they predatory, you will able to understand. Here what this current science, what this site used to say, this is says 110 H index these journals have. Simultaneously, it also says how much citation per article it has received in the last few years, how much documents has been coming from various countries and all these things it has showing it clearly. But if some other journals, I am unable to type it some low quality journals over here, because my intention is not to show you such type of journals. But if you type it by your own, because you have wide experience what those popularly knowing good quality journals are, if you type their name over here, and if you does not get any find any result in this website, then by your own you have to be understand how much qualitative these journals are. So let's come to my my slides. So this is one of that excellent tool, SJR. This tool is available at free of cost at your own end. You can search it and you can find it what are the good journals are, because it's a service being developed by Scopus. So Scopus index journals are mostly indexed already in Web of Science. So you can get a fair idea that good piece of journals, not necessarily that only in Web of Science, but whatsoever it is indexed in Scopus and Web of Science both, you can get it access here and you can use it. Now, very important point. As I particularly observed in my experience of life, that people have potential to write very good piece of article. I know here in these screens, very excellent piece of very excellent number of authors I have already seen in the first screen when I start. I know their names. They are working very excellently. Now the problem is that not for them also, but a common all young people, I must share that there is a problem with all of us. Whatsoever we used to write, we forgot to share. That two consequences happens with us. First of all, we little bit feel shaky that whether our article will get more criticism, and if it get more criticism, then it will not good for me, so I will not be shared. And you know, the pupils in the international thinking are a little bit different. I am not sharing that website. There is one website called F1000, and you probably have heard about the website of AX Archive for physics and F1000 for biomedical literature. Now people, before submitting any international journals, they used to submit it into this website. And here, number of excellent, or you can say excellent reviewers are available who are experienced in the field. These two websites attach them as a form of reviewer. They read the article openly and give you the comment as a form of commentary box, that what the good things of the article have and what extent it needs to change to make it more excellent. So they used to, a good author, the foreign authors or the others author used to submit previously, now some preprint or such type of archives to get knowledge what the other people, worldview of their idea is. It is very important. It's called sharing. And you can say it is nothing but the creating a visibility what he is doing. But we the Indians are very lack of this. I always suggest, whenever you write an article and if it is being published in some good piece of journals, you share your work with your peers. You upload it in some social network tools or some mediums, so that at least people will able to know what you have written on your particular area. Always be confident on your mind that what you spent for writing an article in the last 6 months is quite impossible for other part of the people who is only reading it for 6 minutes or 6 hours. It is not possible. In academic line, the things are not going in this way. We are lack of this idea that we are usually not shared in. But in foreign, in general practice, what they are used to, they used to share it in some blogs, in some Twitter account, or they exploit the social network site to make it more visible to the world peers. And simultaneously also, they also submit it to some institutional or subject repository to make it widely published, to get it more publicity among the peers. We should follow this also for making our article to get more citation from various aids. It is very essential. And one question is always comes to our mind, that if we share something before publishing or after publishing, whether we should violate the copyright or IPR law. I always suggest to all of you, whether your work will violate any copyright law, for just to check, you typed your journal name in this website. Here, good piece of journals are already indexed and they explain what extent the archiving they support. In most of the journals present day supports post archiving or post publishing documents. Some of the journals allowed you the preprint of your publishing with little bit change. So an actual print also, some of the open access journals or good journals also allow to submit your work in some institutional repository. If the journal itself suggests you to make it pre-post, post, after publishing post, or with publishing post, why you feel, why we should have such feeling that we should not share it? We must share it. We must submit it to some international institutional archives to make it more visible to the world peers. It is very, very essential. Now, there are some of the methods that I have mentioned over here to make your article more visible. To get your article more visible from your end while writing your article, you have to be very much careful to choose your title, your abstract, and your keyword. Probably, those who are conversant with my work, he may knows that some days back one of my work in Scientometrics, published in Scientometrics, where we studied it, what part of article is very much significant impact with citation, whether it is simple title, and if it is title, so what type of title? Fanciful title, expressive title, big title, small title, what extent of abstract, what up to what line of abstract, which is very significant to get more citation, or what keywords are very important of an articles to get more citation. We have published one article in Scientometrics on this line. If you have time, you read it. And as a general, I am just telling you, choose your title or your abstract or your keyword in such that it should be indexed by crawler of various search engine, because any crawler only crawl up to this 3 level. They never goes up to the depth of your article. So you have to choose such a word into the title or into the keyword or into the first few line of the abstract which crawler crawls. You choose these 3 elements, these 3 area very carefully of your title so that your article get crawled, it will be get access, and whenever the near word or related word people searched into the any search interface, your articles will appear into the screen, and certainly if it appears into the screen, he or she will read, download, and you will automatically get citation. Not necessarily in present day, only the citation which is comes in appears of references is very important. Now there are very other forms of citation is very, very important. So you will get it. Now these 2 things I just little bit slightly touched, because in my previous lecture on the same line when I was talk, somebody asked me to little bit explain about H index and G index. All we are all accustomed with, but a very simple screen is over here. The H index says that both the 2 criteria should be fulfilled. And the criteria number 1 is number of article, and criteria number 2 is that number of citation. So for example, this article author B, a 6 number work here have received only 3 citation. In spite of the fact article B, author B and author C have a higher number of citation per article, except the last number of article, that is article number 6, their H index is only 5. In author B and author C's H index is only 5. Whereas in case of author A, although his most of the article is received citation beyond 6 and up to 10, but he is richest into the H index of 6. That means number of article and number of citation both should be fulfilled, then your H index will be that. This H index comes into the picture because you know now there is a trend of collaborative research. Say for example, when I was used to search foreign articles, I found some of the articles contain 4,368 authors. Now, if any one of author you are studying on him or her, and certainly he will mention that his article has received 2,800 citation, or say for example 230 citation. Now, what percentage of his contribution into that article it is very difficult to measure. And if we go for percentile basis, it's a little bit controversies there, and no author usually ready to accept that if I am in joint collaboration, then every piece of citation should be divided with equal number of authors. Nobody used to accept this idea. That's why this H index comes into the picture. It basically explains you how an author is consistently performing well. An article receive more than 10 citations is sufficiently to say it's a good article. But if an article receive only 2 citations, or most of his article receive 2 or 1 citation, or not received any citation at all, and one of his article which is jointly written by number of authors and receive 230 citations, then he becomes an excellent author. It must not be. H index's intention is like that, and G index is what is likely to in the near future, how many of citation this author have potentially to receive. It says about G index. It is basically calculation that used to measure. You can make it, use it, count it by using Excel sheet, and later if time permits, I will show you. Now, one of the greatest tool you must download at your one end, and that is called Publish or Perish. It's a free tool. You download it, it will appear as a small package on your screen, and you open it, it will work live. You type a journal title or a author name or an institution name, then you can able to get well accustomed with what the H index, G index, H10 index, or what the nature of citation this particular journal or this particular author potentially have. So very, very important this tool is, as this tool basically explain you how much an author have potentially to receive citation. You please download this tool at your one end. It's not a big tool. It's a very simple tool and very useful tool to understand how far it's a piece of work is potentially good or bad. It's used various APIs, Google Scholar API, Microsoft Academic Search API, along with Web of Science API, Scopus API. If you search it according to its API, actual number of impact, citation, G index, H index, all will come. Here I am just showing you some of the recent year of Google Scholar that particularly have. And what I was talking about this one, this visibility. And now what the world trend is now to make your article more visible is another way to understand your impact. And this is known as Altmetrics, a new tool. You all know about that. I will just show you how this Altmetrics is using in current day in some good piece of journals. I will show you in the latter half, but let's count one by one some of the points that these tools basically count how many times your work has been tweeted, retweeted, or how many times it has come in form of blog, how many times it is appears as a news item. These are some alternative mechanism to understand the impact. I will show you one of the site by opening one of the site. I will certainly show you later up. It is there. Little bit change is made in the slides. That is not an issue. So this is one of the very important tool. And these are the tools by which a researcher must include himself. And one is called impact story. One is called ORCID. You must create an account by which you can able to understand, by which you can at least your profile will come into the wall form. Whatsoever you write, whatsoever you publish, automatically they will then index and there will be no need to upload you by yourself. So it will save your time. So therefore, it is very, very essential that if you really do works on your domain, you include your name into some, you prepare an account and all this, and deliver your findings as extensive as possible to get it more citations in terms of visibility, in terms of impact. This is another website you must see over here. You must know about that. That I have specialization and open access. I always suggest you if a journal is being indexed, because now there is a very huge question comes whether open access contents are good or bad. In my PhD thesis, I have already explained with some work, and the book that Mahajan Madam already told, that scholarly communication in open access journal, basically deals with that, whether open access journals have any scholarly impact or not. That I particularly studied onto my thesis, and that time it was not so exponential growth of open access journals was not available, but from 2012 onwards there was huge exponential growth occurred in the area of open access journals. That's why now there are few publishing platforms, publishing association joins their hands and make a platform. If some qualitative journals are indexed over here, then undoubtedly it's a good piece of journals. Being an open access, don't feel any hesitation. You submit your articles into these open access journals. Certainly, it's a good piece of journals and being accepted by world peers. Now, I have little bit changed my orientations as time is moving little bit fast. You know, there is a species of dog available in South Africa, basically in Africa, wild dogs, it used to say. They have a particular behavior to attack the zebra, their prey. I am explaining this just to explain the idea of predatory and prey practices, which is very, very prevalent and very, very common in present day research. And these dogs, what usually do, basically they used to stay in a group. They never move here and there in single. They used to always झुंड जिसको कहते हैं, they used to stay in group. And when they try to attack some zebra, one of the dog comes in front of the zebra and make a eye contact with the zebra to make him disturb with the dog, with the front. And simultaneously the other dogs attack the zebra from left side, right side, and back sides. This is a particular strategy they have followed, and this is called a predatory practice. You are all about well accustomed with the word of predatory, and certainly we are in the era. Some days, some years back, it was very much predominant. Now it's a little bit less. But certainly there are 4 types of predators are there. Yes, it's true. The journals who attack like this way, by sending you a mail, by lucrative words that their journal is peer reviewed, have impact factor of 3.72, which is beyond which is practically impossible. By publishing a journal only by 2 or 3 years, that a impact of a journal will reach to 3.72, which particularly these journals lucratively explain in their website, send the mail. They are certainly the predators. I accept this. But at the same time, we are also the predators, and our predatism role is nothing but the opportunism and mutualism. Being knowing all that these are not good quality journals, just to increase the number of publication at our own end, or just to show it to some promotional boards, we submit articles into those journals by paying 1,500 or 2,000, 2,500 rupees and get it published. So this is also another form of predatism. This is nothing but we are here playing the role of opportunists, or we are understanding the process of mutualism, we are showing ourselves that we are unseen into the phenomena and we are committing mistake. It's not true. By knowing all, we submit this article. That's why we have talked about, I have talked about ethical practice and tried to explain you what is very, very important for an author before submitting article, think original, and what ethics he should have to follow. A researcher is the best judge of his own article. Nobody else into the world can explain, judge your article. You only know how much, I only know how much toil and tear I spend on writing my articles. And if I fear, if I ethically strong at my own point, then the questions of predatory neighbors comes into the picture. There is no need to upload your article to some anti-plagiarism software to check how much percentage its similarity index is, if you are fair. I had a huge talk with this person who developed the word of predatory, Jeffrey Villa, you all know. I used to talk with him a little bit more when I was developed my own criteria of understanding Indian journals. And he had told to me that, Mr. Mukherjee, to make something, to stop something or to stop something bad, that there are two ways. One is to explain him or her or that body that you are not good. You are a predator. And what I am doing is that I am pointing or I am marking those people, persons or body who are involving in the act of predator. But there is another way also, also follow that way. And that way is that if you automatically explain people what are the good journals to be identified, how to understand that, how if you can able to explain the people that what are the criteria to judge a journal whether it's a good or bad, then if a pupil can judge himself or herself that it's a good piece of journal, then certainly at a one time and at a one point of time he will not indulge himself to submit his article into the predatory journals. My intention and my line of work is only that direction, to explain to all how to judge, how to understand what criteria an author you must check before submitting an article to a journal. Here I am showing you some of the good piece of journals. And you know, if somebody says that only their near marginal or their normal publisher used to go for predatory journals, used to publish predatory journals, it's totally wrong. These are the journals, if you check it by your own, the great publishers, the big publisher used to publish these journals, but they were proved as predatory journals. Why they are predatory? You read it by your own, you are able to understand. So it's not true that big publisher not published predatory journals. So it's very, very important to judge yourself. What criteria are important? What are the basic things that being an author you should check to submit your articles into the journals? I am here showing you some of the lucrative advertisement or mail that I have been received every day, like all of you, in terms of good quality journals. Here you just see impact factor is written over here 3.072, 3.029. Dear friends, getting impact factor of 0.87, current science used to spend in the last 50 years, he is surviving in the domain of academic publishing. In spite of the fact it's a very, very excellent piece of journals, they are unable to gather impact factor more than 1. And just assume what the excellent this piece can be, that by publishing only a year or two or on birth of publishing, their impact factor reaches to 3.027. For getting 0.1, increasing of 0.1 impact factor, a journal needs at least 5 to 7 years. And what the excellent piece these are, they are getting impact factor of all this only by 2 years. Now I am showing you something in live. This is another very excellent piece of journals. You just see these journals. It makes advertise himself as UGC approved journals. Here you see, do you ever seen any website where the name of the website is not mentioned, but mention it as an UGC approved journals? Now a question comes, how far it is approved and how far it is qualitatively good. Let's come one of the very important issue, and that is editorial board. Just check this editorial board. I am just clicking this editorial board. You just see the constitution of this editorial board. Here, one person is from Bangladesh, one is from Iran, one is from USA, one is from Romania, Australia. Certainly, it's an international editorial board. Now, go little bit deeper manner, the person's name. It's Dr. Rao, PhD, USA. Do you feel any persons of the world, including the CI, or this FBI or the CBI, can able to recognize Dr. Rao, PhD from whole USA? Is it possible? This is one of the first identity by which you can be able to understand. This type of incomplete editorial board information is very common in such type of journals which are not seems to be as a good. Now comes to the another very point, and that is the issues. Let's look this IJRI archives. In this archives, let's see the. In 2011, it starts with publishing of 4 issues. In 2012, it reaches to 12 issues, and in just 1 year back, it was 6 issues. A journal never changes frequency within 2 years and 1 year. Why they are changing? Because it's a APC based journals. For accepting its article, they used to charge 2,500 rupees. And I am showing you how much business is this. I am clicking one of the issue, and that it is volume 5, issue 12, part 1, December 2015. And you just see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. Each page is content with 30 to 40 articles. Again, if you go back a little bit in other issues, say for example 2014 and this issue 11, just check over here. Here it is 6 pages is there, and each pages contains with at most 20 articles. So each issue contains 200 to 300 articles or 150 articles. It is a monthly journal, and it covers a research with here engineering research and application, and though go for the topic private cloud, rice husk ash, ACTH and posterior responses. You just go for the topic what they are using, which is far away. Probably they have their editorial board is so excellent and so capable that they can handle engineering, they can handle physics, they can handle psychology, they can handle economics, they can handle library science. Just try to understand how this excellence they have. And this is the processing charge, their most attractive part. By paying anything, you can get it accessed or published by your own name. You just recall my peer review word that I have mentioned on the top of what this peer review means. And here it is clearly indicate in the first page, International SWAN is an open access online peer reviewed international journals. In the first very line, this type of journals used to mention that they are peer reviewed, because if you see it times, You have to search it in so many places to get it, whether it's a peer reviewed or not. If you go in JASIS, you probably will not find this word, Journal of American Society of Science and Technology. You will never find this word, but here you will find on the first line. And you know, on publishing this article, you will get every page they will mention this ISSN number and peer review word, just to explain that they are really a peer review. So I am not taking much more time of that. So this is the way by which you can able to understand. And the indexing system they are explaining here, I am also likely to show you these all are misleading impact factors. Probably all of these impact factors authority is only controlled by a single person. And most of these journals claim that they are indexed in this type of impact factor services. These are nothing but the misleading impact factors. So I always suggest, if you find such a journal which is being indexed by all these databases or one of these databases, try to understand, reconcile your own mind and your brain, what may be. This is the website that I have developed, and this is the criteria what I have mentioned into my project, which is published in form of white paper in DST, Department of Science and Technology. It is accessible in little bit, but I always suggest, if you have time, there is a good piece of article that is being published in Current Science, and you read that article in Current Science. I have little bit tried to explain what are the basic criteria to judge a quality of the journals. In a nutshell, it can be longevity, prominence, uniformity, composition of editorial board, proportion of Indian and foreign contributors, number of article per issue, ratio of cited and uncitedness, inclusion of journal in conventional databases, not the databases I have just shown previous slides, minimum publishing times that I've already explained on the previous slides, and ethical process they have followed. Dear friends, in ecosystem or maintaining an ecosystem, it is very important that predatory and prey must be survive into the world. But in academic domain, it is not fair to existence of predatory. And it can only be less or eliminated if these predators do not find in any prey like us, they will simultaneously and automatically stop their business. Altogether, some of us are trying hard to make it really possible. We are trying in back end so many things just to stop these practices, but I believe and understand still we have huge numbers. So therefore, I always I used to end my presentation with some words that is very, very important for a first-hand research and all, that I am not bound to, but I am bound to be true. For a researcher, it is very, very essential that we should be very much true. Not necessarily. If you talk to me, I have been failed to publish my articles in so many good piece of journals, but I never lost my track to publish it anywhere. It's the idea, please develop on your brain. It should be true by our own. I am not bound to succeed, but I am bound to live up to what the light I have. We must not blame the system of society that nothing is getting we here. We are not that extent of service database like that. That's why I am not able to do good piece of research. I have just shown you some of the important websites. There are oceans of websites available onto the web. You use it for your practical need. For every domain you find good piece of research, good piece of work. along with your teachers you consult. They will suggest you, guide you the right path of your life. That's all my presentation. If you have any time, certainly you read all these two articles where I particularly develop the mechanism is explained little bit detail. Probably one of the article published in this decade of journals is also available. I have just forgotten, but these are two international publication. You please consider if you have time. And this is the very recent research article. I have just published an article just few days back on global trend in coronavirus research. It is not particularly in COVID-19, and it is published in Journal of Scientific Research in the latest issue. If you have time also, you please go through this research too. That's all my presentation. Thank you to all esteemed members as well as the participants who spared their times to listen this all buck for the last 1.5 hours, and thanks to all.
Thank you, Professor Mukherjee, for enlightening us with the steps of writing about the impact factor, peer review process, plagiarism, visibility of our work to peers, etc. I fully agree with you that we must make our work visible for more citations, which is not only good for us, but also for our institution. And we must be aware of the predatory journals where we should not publish. With these words, may I now request Neha to take up the questions, please?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir. I would start by saying that it was a very informative presentation and we got to know a few new things and how to go about this, especially from ground level work for us students. Now I will start with the first question. I hope I'm audible to you.
Yeah.
Okay. If we share our article on, let's say, Facebook or Twitter, aren't we at a risk of losing it to someone who might steal our work?
No, nothing. If it is already being published, there is no question of stealing. It's very good practice. The world is thinking in these directions. So there is no question of stealing. If it is already being published, it is under your credit. So no question at all.
The second question is, as international journals reject manuscripts, report findings of local libraries, do you think that there is less avenues available for LIS researchers to publish articles in India?
No, certainly not. I never feel like this because now pupils from computer science publish their articles in library science journals. If we are thinking library science only in terms of library science, then our subject or our ambitions to make our subject to an international forum will get lost. So I never think like that. Now it's a trend of interdisciplinarity, multidisciplinarity. These all are very predominant. So why you think about the only publishing articles in library science? Journal of Information Science, where computer science, information science, along with so many other excellent people are sharing their thoughts. Why we not share our thoughts in some like all those journals? One of my article likely to come within few days in some women associated journals. As now Madam has shared to you, I am doing another DST project of measuring publications or scientific contributions by Indian women in the field of science and technology. I am doing this research. DST called me to and give me this project. I am in the last stage, and I have submitted my work in some other journals. So it's not like that, if you have the quality in your article, then it's that I don't feel it's a boundary of library science and it has any small scope. I never feel like that. You have enough scope.
All right, thank you, sir. The last one question is that could you enlighten us how to handle rejection?
Yeah, certainly. And frankly speaking, I have been rejected altogether. I have written little bit work, and all most of my work is being recognized and get published, very good piece of journals. But I have been rejected also number of times. Yet friends and all my esteemed seniors, what I gain particularly, rejection is nothing but an idea to give where you are little bit what your drawbacks are. It's not like that you have been rejected by your idea or your thought as a whole. That's why I have talked you one. Probably you are not taking, you all are not taking the word of my word in that way. That key in your life, you will feel number of rejections and number of instances. But if you are true by your own, that yes, my work is good, it is being rejected because of some other reason, maybe too. So you try for another journal, making it little bit change. And you know, excellent piece of journals also reconsider your article, what is earlier been rejected. If you change drastically or change considerably, that what their other reviewer suggested you, if you incorporate it all and submit it to the same journal, they will accept it. You know, it's a very transparent process of the world, the people are thinking that if a article have a merit to publish, nothing a question of that whether it should earlier rejected or not. And for your information, in number of cases, I must not take the name of some scientist. The paper of very big scientist has retreated. It is being reverted back after getting it published into the same journals. So don't be disappointed about all this rejection. It's a part and parcel of life. If you are really involved in publishing with a good piece of work, Rupak I am looking is also Rupak. He is doing also good piece of work. I know him very well. Rejection is a very common phenomenon in life. And whenever it will be more rejected, you will be more strong, more sustainable, you will be more learned for making it more acceptable form. This is my suggestions to all of you. Don't fear about rejections. It's very common.
Thank you, sir. Now I would request Professor Rupak Chakravarti to give a vote of thanks. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Neha. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
It was actually a very comprehensive presentation. It is very difficult to sum up. And I think each and every slide was so comprehensive and informative that assimilation of even one slide becomes very difficult. And it will take time, it will take hours and days to actually comprehend what we have just listened from such an eminent speaker. I would like to offer my sincere thanks to Professor Bhaskar Mukherjee for sparing time from his busy schedule, really busy schedule, and delivering enriching and enlightening talk on academic writing for quality research. Your words of wisdom will help students, scholars, and professionals, and I think everyone engaged in active academic writing and research. Your talk would be very beneficial for those who are rightly actively involved or they are aspiring to start their research career. They are in early stages. So it will be beneficial for all. I thank you again, sir, for your inspiring talk leading us to research quality and enhancement. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks are due to our esteemed Vice Chancellor, Dean of University Instruction, Dean Research, for motivating and supporting us to organize academic events like this by engaging eminent speakers. I take this opportunity to thank my colleagues, department staff, students, and research scholars for their cooperation and involvement. My thanks are also due to all the participants for their patience listening and making this event a success through their active participation. We hope you would receive same kind of interest and enthusiasm and their active participation in future events also. Thank you all and have a good day. Over to Neha.
Thank you.
Ma'am, would you like to say something?
Sir Mukherjee, for giving us a piece of advice on how to write qualitative academic papers. Thank you very much. It was great
Thank
to
you.
listen to you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.